Buenas, welcome to Conversations with Coco. I'm your host, Ariana Nieves, and I'm here with my amazing co-host, Sada.
Hey everybody, I'm Sada, and I'm layered like an onion.
Make sure you guys come and tap in.
Calling to go when I need all the answers. She told me don't worry, I got you, keep dancing. Future is popping as God is a witness. Start a new business, oh, and like vision. I took the people and accept me for me. I'm trying to be what I'm destined to be. Excuse my temper, I'm just flowing like trees, like the waves in the ocean. Potion got me poem. I'm holding the crown, please lay down if you want it. You better come stepping with Curry and Jordan. Trend to the music, don't listen to lyrics. I'm searching through myself to catch in my spirit. Senses is clearer, you whisper, I hear it. I'm getting stronger, yeah, I feel it, I feel it. Hey, do not come near me with negative energy.
Buenas, welcome to Conversations with Coco. I'm here with my amazing co-host, Sada.
Hey y'all, so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course, I'm so excited to actually have you on set. So Sada's a longtime friend of mine, almost 10 years now.
Yep.
That's crazy.
So long.
And we're gonna get into her being the owner of her own dance studio, In Your Skin Studio. So we have this first segment to start off every single show called Talk Your Shit, where you have 90 seconds to edify yourself. So sis, tell the people who you are.
So my name is Sada. I've been a pole dancer for 12 years. It is something that I learned I was really passionate about and something I was really good at sharing with other people. And through pole, I really found a lot of confidence and a lot of awareness. I'm able to be present when I'm dancing. And so through experience and my being present for myself, I came up with In Your Skin Studio, which is, I think, a big missing piece in this world, people's comfortability in their skin, their confidence in their skin, just living in it. So In Your Skin Studio is a place where you come to learn pole inside of yourself, what's right for your body, not what's right, period. We do what's right for you here.
Love that. Snaps. We need the audio in the background. Snaps in the background. So one thing that I love about you is that you're really transparent about yourself inside of your brands. You are a multifaceted being in so many ways. I feel like you've worked so hard just in the short period of time that we've been able to know each other so far, because we have so much more to go. But just in this short period of time, you've grown so much, and I feel like you really bring that to the forefront of your brand. But what I think is also really important is you shine a different light on a topic that sometimes can be super, well, as per status quo, is super cliche.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to get a little bit more into what brought you to that point where you were like, okay, maybe it's your own firsthand personal experiences that brought you to the point where you're like, okay, now are there people, men and female, that want to engage in this, it's a certain mindset as well?
What got me to feeling like I wanted to share, or maybe feeling like I valued what was happening?
I think more so create a space where you can be real and raw about everything surrounding this. You know what I mean? Even down to the emotion, because we were talking about Sex Life Sunday, on the Wake and Bake Sesh, and you were getting into like just people feeling confident and comfortable enough to be their level of sexy.
Yes. Okay. So I think I was a dancer for 5 years, and I think the experience as a dancer obviously is quite a roller coaster. So I had perceptions about what it meant to be a dancer, and with all things, as you experience it, you change, what you expected or what you know it to be. My family had a really difficult time when they learned that I was a dancer. And one day my mom came down to the club that I was working at.
Ugh.
And I love to tell this story, and she just got to see me on stage, which for me was like, oh my God, she's gonna see, I'm a very sensual person. So I was like, oh my God, she's gonna see me act up. Mm-hmm. And she was just so proud of the reaction in the room, the joy that I had. I think she was able to see past the sensuality and the nudity part of it and whatever comes with all that stigma about dancing. And then that was a big shift for me too, like that affirmation externally from someone that I value so much, and from someone who definitely did not feel that way all the time.
Right, yeah.
So I think like seeing myself change how I feel about it, seeing her change how I feel about it, made me know that people need better experience, to have better understanding.
No, for a fact. And I also feel that's with like any, I guess, uncomfortable conversation. Once you get past that hump, it's like, wow, there's so much clarity. It's like, whoa, thank God.
It might be so different than what you were thinking.
Right. No, 100%. And I love that you're opening up the door to even create that conversation for people that are taking your class. Do you have a lot of people that have never danced before take pole with you?
Most people that come to the studio have never danced or taken pole ever,
Wow,
which
that's interesting.
definitely when I opened the studio, I thought I was gonna like teach all the dancers, and it's 100% more non-dancers whatsoever.
Do you switch up teaching style? Like,
Yeah,
I would
definitely.
assume, yeah, right.
Definitely. But everybody gets all the styles.
Okay.
But I think there's so much to pole. There's floor work, there's hard tricks, there's conditioning, there's style, there's grace, there's showmanship. You know, it's like, it's super layered,
Right.
in my opinion. And so I think I'm always switching up styles, but everybody needs to dabble in all of the different aspects of pole.
To see exactly what it is that kind of you favor. I guess also too, it's ever changing too,
100%.
right? You develop your style and things.
Yeah, you might just
evolve.
love floor work,
True. Very true.
in which case, like, slay the floor work.
Right, 100%. So now you as a dancer, you as a pole dancer, we obviously know from the B-roll footage, Sada kills it on the pole. Ridiculous. And you've had
love
years
it.
of experience. So I kind of want you to share your experiences on pole, kind of how you feel, because even me saying earlier, like the tricks that you're doing, insane. I know there's levels of empowerment, like I'm sure.
There is something, am I allowed to like talk about?
Everything
Like
and
I can
anything.
reference things?
You can do every and anything. You could curse, you do every and anything.
So I'm gonna reference this documentary, The Secret, if that's okay. Which really was very powerful for me, but it explained really well how humans might find themselves doing inactivity that allows them to zone out. And that is different for everybody. So it could be pole, it could be running, it could be reading, it could be writing, gardening, right? Like there's something that when you're doing it, you just kind of feel as if you're glowing from the inside out. And that energy is quite powerful. I would agree with that philosophy, that energy is quite powerful. It also feels amazing when you're like in your zone.
Yeah.
It's such a good feeling. And pole for me is quite dangerous. So, and when I learned, and I started in 2009, there was nowhere to learn safely, really. You just learned by experience.
Right.
By just making sure you didn't die. And so it's something that made me be so present. Like I couldn't be in my head, I couldn't be worried about what was happening that day. I needed to be right here, right now, making sure that I wasn't dying. I got to just feel the music, and I just glow when I'm doing it on the inside. And I love to explain the power of the glow like this. When someone walks in the room and they're like really upset, you can be like, oh, are you okay? You look upset. If someone walks in the room and they're really excited, you might be like, oh, you look really happy. Or if they're scared, like, are you okay? You look scared. If someone feels something strongly enough, they physically look it, like it's visible on them. So, you know, if you feel strongly confident, if you feel strongly present, if you feel strongly on fire, like that's visible to anybody watching you. The same way you would look scared, or you would look happy, or you would look nervous, right? You can look confident, you can look on fire, you can look like you're shining brightly if you feel strongly that you are shining brightly. So that's where it's like, pole just lights me on fire, and I think, you know, more people, every person should just lean into whatever makes you feel like you're on fire.
100%. Yeah, if it's your passion, man, you can't put a price on that. But you know what's beautiful? You get to. 2 birds, 1 stone.
You know, turns out.
You literally get to. So Let's take away, I'm gonna go back to like your upbringings. I definitely want to connect the dots when it comes with your mother's relationship and her getting involved, even with the documentary that you shot and everything like that. So we're gonna get back into that topic, but I do want to take a break for that for a second and just kind of get more into your successes. So let's be real, sis has accolades, okay? Okay, so with all that being said, I feel like your dedication to your brand, your hard work, your dedication to your personal brand, you know, who you are as a person, you were able to master multiple lifetimes worth of skill sets. And I love the way you're able to intertwine everything and kind of bring your best self forward. So why don't you share with everybody everything that you do so that they have more of an understanding of kind of where this baby birthed from?
If it has to do with wellness, I will probably do it. So I am a licensed massage therapist. I have done yoga teacher training twice, as well as a children's yoga teacher training, because get the babies while you can, honey, and give them everything that they deserve. I, was a bartender, went to school for that, but that doesn't really matter. We don't need that, as we know.
But still, it's an accomplishment, a lifetime. That's one person's lifetime accomplishment if you be realistic.
True.
Keep going.
It's a well-paid one, too.
Right, facts. For a fact.
One.
We know that. We're going to get into that next, girl.
I've been a pole dancer for 12 years. I have won some pole championships early on in my career, and I now judge a few pole championships, so that really means a lot to me. I was able to team up with Gnarly Bay Productions, which is a somewhat small marketing company based here in Rhode Island. Yeah, but they're not so small because one of their clients is LL Bean.
Oh, nice.
So they're an amazing production company, and they reached out to me to do a mini documentary, a short documentary about the studio, my pole journey, which I got to include my mom and our story in as well. So I can now fly to clubs and feature at clubs and dance at clubs. I started a dancer casting agency because people know I got hot girls.
Right, exactly. The plug is here. She is the plug.
I'm able to, I always am able to cast women for videos or for events and things like that, which is great to have great clientele and very deserving performers, have access to each other easily.
100%.
I think it's important to normalize problems as much as possible.
Okay.
We all have problems, but I think it's really heavy if you feel like it's happening just to you or you are alone in it. And I think we can never take problems from anyone, but we might just sit with them while they have their problem. And that, not sitting alone is quite powerful, in my opinion.
Right, 100%.
So we sit with people here.
100%. I love that. And that's because you've already been through the experiences.
Being alone is not a good feeling. Being hurt is bad enough. Being hurt and feeling alone,
that's a whole other.
That's the one that has always, been hard for me. So I feel like it must be hard for others.
Right. So I want to get back into jumping into your journey, right? Because you did bring up that your mom was able to be inside of your documentary where you kind of talked about your whole pole journey, which was beautiful. Please, everybody, make sure you guys go access that clip. It is amazing. It's on her social media. And where else can people watch it?
It's on Vimeo.
Oh, there you go.
It was on Vimeo, yeah. And it's called Everyday Burns.
Make sure you guys go check it out.
Just really want to thank everyone at Gnarly Bay. It started as a passion project, and the company loved it so much that they took it on as a full project for the entire company. So everyone worked on it, and I could never have asked for my story to be told in a better way. So
Right.
I just need to give them the biggest thank you for really telling my story and really shedding light on everything that I would want light shed on. So
awesome, loving
Yeah.
that. It was a beautiful documentary. Make sure you guys go check it out. But I want to bring back up your mom, and kind of talking about, since we're talking about feelings of loneliness and kind of being hurt and making decisions for yourself. So I want to talk more about your family and your connection there, and when it comes to sharing your pole journey and you explaining that at first it took them time to kind of adjust to that.
years.
years. So let's talk about that journey and especially how that kind of shaped you as the dancer that you are, because one thing that she fails to say as she humbly and lightly talks about her accolades is that this woman has so much stain within the industry, within the nightlife business. One, she not only taught me strip club etiquette, but she has the opportunity now where she can go literally any day of the week to any club that she's ever worked at or any place just within the vicinity that knows who she is and just guest on stage for a set or two and make salary. So we'll just put it that way. So when she humbly likes to talk about herself, I just want to get a little bit more into your journey and the reality of it. And especially because you did do it on your own. So girl.
Okay. I definitely have probably never publicly told this story, so this is a great question.
Ooh, this is an exclusive. Let me get comfy. Wait, let me fix the sweatpants real quick. Make sure I'm seated right. Hold up. Go ahead.
Okay. So I started dancing when I was 19, and I moved to Florida to do it. And I initially had told my aunt that I wanted to dance, and she said she okayed me to death. I believe now with the expectation that when I got there, she was just gonna change my mind. Because when I got there and I went to go be a dancer, she was like, no, you shouldn't do that. And I was like, that's odd because I told you I was coming here for that. So I stayed with her for about a week where she was really adamant, she didn't want me to go get this job. And I was like, I don't think I should be here then. And crazy as it is, one of my high school best friends, he moved away, I think, senior year. So I hadn't seen him for maybe 3 years. He called me that day and he's like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm in West Palm. And he's like, I'm in Tampa right now. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, I live here. Take a train out here, come stay with me. And I packed up my stuff that same day and I took the train out to Tampa and I stayed in a motel. I don't know, it was probably $50 a night kind of place. Yeah, and he just stayed there with me. And not that this really matters, but I think just for his character, we were not intimate in any way, shape, or form. So as a friend, he just did not leave me in this shitty ass $50 motel in Tampa. And he had a motorcycle. It was January in Tampa, so not hot, but it would be 50 degrees outside, and he's taking me on his motorcycle in the cold to the strip club so that I could go work and make some kind of money and make a life for myself. And I met some really amazing dancers in Tampa, some of the best dancers that I've ever seen perform to this day. It was a really popular club, so really good dancers worked there, and they kind of took me under their wing in that they would just tell me if I was doing bad.
Okay.
So they'd be like, that looked really bad. And I'd be like, oh, okay, thank you. Yeah. And and so I learned quickly to not be yelled at on stage in public. And so I was able to, little things point my toes, which I really care about now, that came from those girls.
Okay.
And after about a year, I moved to Miami, and I had a condo in downtown Miami, the high rise. Yeah, girl, then I was living. Then I was in it.
Upgrade.
Then I was about that life.
Upgrade real quick. Talk about it, go ahead.
And I lived in Miami for a year, and at the time, I was 20, and out at all the clubs and stuff. I was too young to even be doing anything that I was doing. And I lived there for about a year too, and long story short, it was the day before New Year's Eve, and I was like, I gotta go to work tonight because I gotta go buy a really expensive dress tomorrow for whatever New Year's Eve party we were going to. And I was like, ooh, I'm about to go dance and strip and make hundreds of dollars to go buy a dress. That was an interesting statement that I had just made to myself, that I started to evaluate what I was doing, who I was being, and what my goals were. And so I left Miami.
Wow.
And yeah, then I came here, I started winning championships and stuff. I actually won my first championship in Florida.
Okay, cool.
And that's when I knew I might have something.
Yeah, what brought you to Providence from Florida?
I was dancing in Boston.
Okay.
And somebody out there told me that I would like Providence. And I came and tried it, and I did like Providence.
There we go, and now we're here in Providence.
And yeah, I came out here, and I won some championships out here, and I made a name for myself as a dancer out here, and was able to build a studio.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Huge studio, an amazing, blessed studio. Ooh, let's get into it. That was a really dope story. So when you were transitioning, when did your family get looped in? Because I hid my shit.
I was in the hotel, like, I had been dancing maybe a month. I'm in this hotel in Tampa, and my mom calls me. Oh, someone that saw me dancing knew my, sister's boyfriend.
Oh boy.
Just one of those stories.
Random.
And somebody just said, she's not, I had told my family that I was a waitress at the strip club. And they were like, she's not a waitress, she's a dancer.
R.I.P.
And so my mom calls me and she's ripping me a new one about the choice that I made to be a dancer. And I'm in this motel in Tampa.
Struggling, trying to get it right.
Trying to defend my choices here.
Right.
And that was how she found out. And I ended up blocking her because she was, it was a lot to take in and out.
It was a big decision to
make, right, I had to make peace with my decision. I didn't need somebody constantly telling me that it was wrong. I felt at the moment that I was making the right decision. I know today that I did make the right decision, but I didn't need somebody constantly in my ear, making me second guess something that I needed to be, serious about.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when did the switch kind of come in? When did there start to have an open clarity conversation?
Miami.
Okay.
I think when she saw me be successful, her fear was that I would get a pimp, that I would be stuck on drugs, that whatever story had been told about strip clubs up until that point, when we didn't really have a lot of awareness or access to what happens in those places. So that was just her fear. And so I would say once I hit Miami and she saw that I was really successful and I wasn't on any drugs and I wasn't anybody's girl or anything like that, but what I had did was maybe accomplish something for myself that she maybe not even imagined I would have, this condo in Miami. So I think when she just saw that I was doing well and not doing bad, that was that helped her.
A relief.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the fact that she had clarity and the fact that you knew what the fuck you were doing, that you weren't stupid, you weren't stupid about your decisions. You didn't fall into, a lot of traps that are kind of set up in the game. So the way me and Sada met, I guess is a good time to segue into this topic. We actually met here in Providence. I was going to college here in Providence from Jersey City. I moved out of my parents' house. I was 18, doing everything I can. I was working multiple jobs. I was a full-time student athlete. I was going to school full-time. I was double majoring and double minoring. I worked on campus to pay for my books. I worked at Victoria's Secret full-time, and that shit still was not fucking cutting it. So I had to make a decision for myself, and I was like, you know what? Being a dancer is a different type of hustle. Completely different type of hustle that I completely respect, because it's a whole other level for a fact. But I knew that I could. My biggest asset is conversations with Coco. So I knew that I'd be able to incorporate that in a way where I'd be able to bartend, and especially in a place that we were talking about leverage, right?
Yeah. Money flows.
Right. I had a certain type of recognition, so I applied to all the plethora of strip clubs that just happened to be lined in Providence. And I went to a couple different places, checked a couple places out, and what I recognized was I was 19 at the time. I just turned 19. And at the time here, you could bartend without being 21. Back home, you had to be 21. And Michael, the owner of Wonderland, well, not the owner, my apologies, the GM at Wonderland. I popped into Wonderland, and I knew that's really where I wanted to get hired, because at the time, that was really
the hot spot.
The hot spot. I mean, Foxy's was lit too, but it just wasn't my vibe. So I knew that I wanted to get hired at Wonderland. I walked in, and I'm young, and Michael's asking me all these questions, and I'm here bullshitting, telling him that I have experience, and he's just like, okay, we'll call you. And 2 days later, he calls me back, tells me he wants me to start the next day, and that was my first experience. And Sada was a bottle girl at the time at Wonderland. And for a fact, she definitely taught me strip club etiquette, because I was young. I was coming into the game. Sada, actually, you opened, right? You opened Wonderland. Mm-hmm. Yep. You're one of the people that opened up the club. I had gotten there. They were about 2 years open, I'm pretty sure, or a year open. Whatever it may be.
A little bit, yeah.
Regardless of the fact, our relationship started there, and she kind of guided me through experiences that, same thing. I had made a decision that I knew I hid from my parents. My parents had no idea, not even a little bit, for years. So going through that and having real life conversations about what I was experiencing and decisions that I was making, same thing, why I was making those decisions. And even me making mistakes, like I would make mistakes and she would be real about it with me. Like in a game that is, like you're saying, it's a game, like we're within it. So what's beautiful is our relationship has developed so significantly.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to bring out kind of this feature in you that you've had throughout our entire relationship, which is just like your clear ability. Like you said to me, you're like, I just knew that you wanted to learn, which is why I feel like you teach as well.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you are just in that space. You just thrive in that space.
I do, whether I had it or whether I honed it and whatever it was, like I've always said being a dancer taught me so much about like reading people and body language and stuff like that. Like as a dancer, if we're talking business and efficiency, right? Like I am most efficient if I can figure out what kind of girl you like within the first 5 minutes of meeting you, right? So you might want an intelligent girl, you might want a dumb girl, you might want a dominant girl, you might want a submissive girl, you might want someone who's super outgoing, you might want someone who's calm. And my ability to gauge that about you quickly means that I could then play into what appeals to you, and therefore I'm more successful financially. Right. So the quicker I can figure out if you like an outgoing person and I'm like really calm, we might not match.
Right.
But if I just like, yay, we're outside now, boom, all of a sudden you think I'm a perfect match for you. So that's just like business part of it where I feel like, people will tell you a lot if you just listen.
Right.
If you just look, if you just be attentive. So I don't know if I had it or if I learned it right there, because I feel like I learned it in the strip club. But it applies everywhere. So I just do the same thing like with my students.
Right.
In the first 5 minutes, like, what are they really here for? What are they really gonna benefit from? That's the club. I would say it's the club.
That's it.
But having that business mentality in the club, not just being there for fun, but being there because I have a goal.
Right. Yeah, there's so much stuff that I've learned in the club. Like, especially at that age, like 19, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was learning so much about myself, and then being in the club and being around straight hustlers. There is just no, running that type of energy. Yeah, it's a different level. Like, you learn, it was my eye opener to financial literacy, being in the club, for me, personally. Because it was the first time that I actually saw money. And I had been working since I was 12 years old. Like, I had always had multiple jobs, always. And it was the first time I saw that type of money. Not only that, the first time I saw, being in an actual club, the clientele that comes in there. And being around high profile, clientele, it's tangible. Like, oh, wait a second. Like, it really shows and it makes things super apparent. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And it also, doesn't it change, like, the actual experience of when it happens, doesn't it change how you've always felt about it?
Oh yeah, 100%. And that's the dialect that I love, that you completely always abruptly like to bring to the table. Because, okay, so we talked about it the other day too, like everybody's status quo, like this is the norm, but it really is only the norm in conversation, because when is it really across the board practiced, right? When you actually are inside of different clubs and you feel the experience and you're in the back end of it, like the machinery, the part that makes it run, it's a completely different type of game, which also again lends to experiences that you learn when you're there. Like, even for me personally, like I have the capability now, like I could look at certain types of men and be like, oh, he's a dime a dozen, I see him every day in the club. Like, it's apparent. Like,
it's quick.
And you learn those tactics as you go. So for you, I feel like as a dancer, you have a completely different intimate relationship with people, especially because your relationship then with your clientele can sometimes carry over into different types of endeavors, opportunities, experiences, business opportunities. The list goes on and on. So now that you are a self-sufficient, full-blown entrepreneur, running your own businesses, kind of sitting in the seats of some of the clientele that were, coming to the club.
That I was servicing.
Right. Now that you hear.
They're vodka fucking cranberries.
Fucking Red Bulls for the table? Okay.
Is that 8 Red Bulls? Okay. You ever put 8 Red Bulls on a fucking tray? A lot of people are laughing right now for that one.
And let one person grab a Red Bull before you get to the fucking table.
It's because they hate you when they do that.
Just one. Just one person.
They must hate you when they do that.
Yo, that was the one thing I'm gonna say with bartending. That I had my space, that carrying of the, no, bro, no. But going back to it, now that you're a full-blown entrepreneur and you've gone through the lulls, right? With your experience now that you're up here, like, I don't know, like looking back on everything, would there be a single thing that you would switch up in your journey?
Ooh. I can't say switch. I'm grateful. Like now, I think the website is like SEC.gov, and it's like small or listen to me. The website is SBA.gov, and it's a small business association, and that's a website that like I didn't know about when I first opened my business, and having that as a tool really helped me as far as like where I wanted my business to head, and being more goal oriented and like financially understanding, because maybe flipping something is one thing, right? But flipping it 10 times over might be something different, or, you know, consistency. These are all different things that come into play. So,
and it's different when it's you, though. Like, I feel like people forget about that, too. Like, okay, there's one thing, like, you being a dancer in a club, right? Like, the brand is Wonderland. You know, you're the attraction, you're the entertainment. Now, the brand is Sada. You know what I'm saying? So that is a completely different type of playing field there. You know
everything that goes wrong is only on my name. Anything that ain't quite right is only on my name.
Right.
And, you know, everything I have to offer is only what I've learned.
Right.
You know, or what I'm willing to go out and get. So like financial advisors, business managers, those are things that I would advise people to get early on, because if you just don't have financial literacy, like, you know, you could thug it out, but if you're gonna be, it also helps to be honest with yourself and be like, you know what, that would probably take me longer.
Right.
And I'm just gonna be more successful if I have those tools in place, if I have those plans in place, whatever.
Right.
So I don't feel like I would change anything, but I think having those things sooner, even the knowledge of them, whatever, would have been really helpful.
100%.
Yeah.
But, you know, camera's perfection. God's timing is everything.
No, yeah, as long as you are diligent, you know, it has came to me eventually.
Right.
And it was a great time.
I was about to say, and it's doing the do. It's doing what it is supposed to do. Okay, so we're going to get into our first segment, our first game, which is my favorite segment, literally. And it's called Entrepreneurship, where we're going to get into 5 topics that I'm going to just blurt out at you. You're going to give a quick little how you feel about it. But they're basically all real life situations about entrepreneurship that nobody talks about. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Okay, I'm so excited.
All right, you ready?
I'm so excited.
All right. First and foremost is putting a price on yourself. Like being able to charge for what you do, your passion.
If you aren't satisfied at the end of the service and you're not charging enough, you deserve to feel satisfied. You will know when you're satisfied. That's how you know you're getting paid worth your work. And not everybody can afford everything. So not everybody can get a massage at Foxwoods, but some people can, and those people do it. So don't set your price range for what you think people can afford. Please, please set it for what you feel good about getting. You have to feel good at the end of the service. That's when you know you have the right number.
For a fact. Yeah, there's nothing worse than like working hard as hell. Like I've had businesses fail because of that. Like work busting your ass and seeing not the financial compensation that you deserve. Like, yeah, no, that's...
And it's tough because you wanna, I don't know, you wanna be fair, or you want people to think it's a good price or whatever, but I think the work you do when you feel you're paid worth your work is always gonna, you know, like...
No, 100%.
4 agreements, always do your best, any more, any less, right?
Amen. Talk about it for a fact. Okay, number 2.
Give it to me.
No call, no shows.
They, in my studio, must pay in advance. So if you no call, no show, you've lost your reservation and you've lost your payment.
No, it doesn't matter. You getting paid regardless, period. And that's how you get around feeling horrible about no call, no shows.
Yeah, I think, you know, you can't go to like, I don't know what salon where you can make an appointment and then just not show up and there not be some kind of like consequence to that.
Right.
You know, we are a small business. Every space matters.
100%.
So, you know, if you are wasting your time and your money, that's your choice. I choose to not waste my time and not to waste my money.
100%. Oh, talk to them, girl. Let them know. All right, number 3. Quick expansion. Because that's what's happening to you. So I kind of want you to elaborate on that. Growth. Like your growth has happened so rapidly. So kind of, you know, get into that.
I'm a tough person and I'm very assertive. So sometimes that's a bad thing. But I think being super hands-on has allowed me that, like, no matter where the studio grows, it's staying where it's always been intended to stay. Because I'm very hands-on and, like, you know, I'll tell you, you gotta go. If it's the vibe of the studio or you, it's always gonna be the vibe of the studio because I can't sacrifice the space of many for the one.
Oh, beautiful.
But I would love if the one would sacrifice to be included with the many. We're all making sacrifices when we just hold compassion for others. So, you know, like bring to the space what the space will give you.
Right. Right, bringing it all back in, like that real life aspect to it, the real emotional aspect to it, you know what I'm saying? Because that's also a real life trait that you have to deal with in society. So it's something that's beautiful to carry with you. So I like that you bring both to the table.
Yeah.
Love that for in your skin. Alrighty.
There's plenty of dance studios. You could show up and just pay a price and learn a dance and go home and have zero emotional or personal investment whatsoever outside of like paying for a service and receiving it.
Right.
This just isn't the space.
Right. And I think that's what separates like your brand from so many, because it could just be the money. Like you could be literally solely into this just for the money. You could have these poles all the way throughout the room, you know, charge a certain amount per pole and keep it at that. You know what I'm saying? And it is so much more. It is so much more for you. It is you. You put yourself into it fully. So
yeah, teachers are not allowed to like move past in a dance if somebody's not getting it. Like I won't say they're not allowed, but like that's a very serious conversation we have here. Like if one person doesn't get it, that one person deserves for you to stop and give them the extra second.
right, that's rare.
Yeah.
Very rare. Even I've taken yoga classes where that's not even a thing. So that is very rare.
Like I think, yeah, the one person is worth it for sure.
Love that. Love that. Next one.
It's,
Brand fluidity.
I love it.
Yeah?
Layered like an onion, honey.
Oh, that's first of all, that is Sada's catchphrase. I'm gonna put it on a hoodie for sis.
I'm layered like an onion, honey. I might make you cry sometimes. I make shit taste real good.
Gemini energy. Gemini energy.
You know,
can't.
brand. You're just not one. There's not one part of you, I would imagine. And you know, the more of you you're willing to share, the more opportunities you create for other people to connect with you or to see themselves in you.
100%. Ooh, loving it. All right, last one, gig selection. Because I know you say no to some shit if it ain't aligned. So
Yeah, that's it. There's no number, and I'm super adamant about this. If I don't want to do it, there is no number in the world that would make me want to do it. That is because you're not gonna have an easy time sleeping at night.
right.
And I've never found a number that actually changed that. So I'm pretty positive, I'm pretty firm on like, if you want to do something, then you want to do it and get paid to do it. But you know, if it's not right with you, I would highly suggest that you go against being negotiated into doing it. Like if it just doesn't sit right with you, there's going to be plenty of things that do sit right with you, and just do those things.
And I think that's the thing. That's the deciding factor when it comes to me. Something that is a part of my why, with financial freedom. Like I want the full choice. Like I don't want a dollar to ever bear or sway or influence or even as much as make me feel inclined if it's like just not even as much as small, a little bit off. Like if I have a little bit of a gut feeling off about it, like, and in certain circumstances, like this just brings me back to my decision to bartend in a strip club. Knowing it was against my upbringing, knowing it's exactly what my parents busted their ass to try to make sure that I didn't do, knowing that everybody in society is going to frown upon it. You know what I'm saying? And when I started in the strip club being a bartender, this was right around the time when everything really started to make the switch over into the strip club being a place that's like an actual club. And it being okay and cool to be there. It being public, right? Just starting to really branch into fully being on social media, face and everything. Like literally, like having promo videos in the club at the time. You know what I mean? Having celebrities, we were just talking about that, celebrities come on the weekend and having that as like a sponsored promo. So me coming into the club, knowing that like, okay, this is kind of like taboo, but I'm making a decision. Right, and we spoke about it too because we were talking about you. Like, if somebody were to ask you, okay, if like, what if your child would want to be a dancer, right? Same thing. Like, I'm making decisions so that my children will never have to. That's the point.
The idea would be, that my daughter would have so many options that maybe she might not feel the need to resort. However,
this too.
If she were to view this as the opportunity that it absolutely is, I would support her doing whatever she wanted to do because I know it's an opportunity. And I'll just make sure she at the top, tippity top, honey. Don't play with me.
Right. I say that all the time. Like, if you're going to do something, be the expert.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to go all out, like, you know what I'm saying? Get the body done. Do what you got. Like,
it brought me so much joy. Who am I to judge what's going to bring my daughter joy?
Right, exactly. And I feel the same way, too, about bartending. Like, even to this day, I had recently actually opened up about my father, about my bartending experience. My dad is actually going to be on one of my episodes. It's going to be a bonus episode.
Oh, hey.
Which I'm really excited about. But
what do you call him online? What's his cute name?
Papa Coco.
Yeah, cute name, Papa Coco.
My friends call him that. His real name is Luis Nieves, but for whatever reason, all my friends call him Papa Coco.
Period.
Yeah, random. But I had that opportunity to open up about him, speaking about it and kind of having more clarity around it. Like, I feel like this is a thing for me too. Again, it was my first open door to real financial literacy and understanding multiple streams of income. Because let's be realistic, the girls in the club, it doesn't stop at the club. Like, getting money is their whole life. Like, you're talking about multiple streams of income, and you think it stops there too, reinvesting.
Seep into other areas,
my goodness, seeping into other areas or even reinvesting. And now with virtual, like, you can now get paid virtually for doing the same sex work. Like, there's multiple streams of income was literally introduced to me, like the eye-opening there. And having that to the table and being able to incorporate that while I'm still going to school and getting a book education that I'm blessed enough to have because of my parents' sacrifices, right? Like, I think that narrative is never really told. Like, let's be transparent. Personally, for me, it wasn't a choice. It wasn't like something that I woke up one morning and was like, I'm going to work in the strip club today because I'm passionate about it. That was not my choice. I always knew it was going to be a step.
It wasn't passion?
Not when I started.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
But if my daughter was like, Mom, I'm passionate about this. I want to be sexy. I want to be a bartender. I want to be the best at this. I'd be like, bitch, go get your leotard, sis. Like, let's do this. Like, you know what I'm saying? But like, that's the switch in it. My kids will not have to do this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like I literally didn't have much other opportunity, choice, or support. Like, that was genuine. It's not like, and I think it's a big misconception. I would say a huge misconception that like there are rich girls out here that are dancing for fun. Like, oh my God, they're so few and far between. 99% of the girls that you see in a club are there because that is like their best option. And by best option, like I was 21, 22, 20 even, making $100,000 a year. And I love to tell people, like, what could I have done at 20 years old that was going to make $100,000 a year?
100. Working smart and not hard.
So when I say like their best option, like I mean that wholeheartedly. We're talking like big numbers. So yeah, I feel like there's like this misconception that like there's a community of women who have great money or great family support or whatever, and they're just choosing to dance anywhere. They're just rebelling, and I'm like, where they at?
Yeah,
in all my history, in all my years, they are so few and far between. There's literally like you count on my 2 hands.
The only thing that I've seen like closely, like even somewhat aligned with that is seasoned dancers. Like we were talking about, like, you know, the woman from earlier today. Like a seasoned dancer, yeah, like I'll be transparent because they are experts in their role. There have been seasoned dancers that have multiple properties.
Yeah,
They've reinvested their money. Like they're set financially. But this is, you know,
They might just have more goals.
this is their role. This is what they've perfected. They became the expert in this, and they're still working. So what? They're still working. Like, when did your mom retire? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Not everybody got the same retirement goals,
Right,
you know?
right, exactly. And that narrative is never even spoken about either. There's so many layers, like an onion. There's so many layers to it, and I feel like what's the most interesting is when me and Sada had met. It was never clear that our goals were to be entrepreneurs. It was never a conversation that was ever had. It was more of us just kind of chucking through our every day to try to get to the next. You get me what I'm saying? Like, we were on that type of time. They're like, okay, we in this right now. This is survival.
That was
Let's
our
beat this.
main income, our main job, our main priority.
Pushing through, and you know what was beautiful about Wonderland really was a family.
100%.
From the dancers to, you know, the security there to the actual, you know, back end staff, everything. Everybody was working with each other. So we had intimate conversation. We've grown with each other. But now we have osmosisly got to this point where we're both full blown 100% entrepreneurs running our own businesses. And it's just hitting a little bit different, like this sun right here.
Do you love that? Because I'm living right here right now. Like, I will pull my phone out and boomerang it right now.
Right. I just feel like the glow.
I'm just admiring.
It's just a little cameo of the Glam Life Beauty on the glow, on the full face. Ooh. Thank you. Okay. But even just speaking about this, I feel like it's adding to the glow. You have now taken yourself to a point from being in that motel to being in this studio that you are the owner of, that you pay all the bills for, to living in the property that you live in.
All the decisions.
Making all of your decisions, building your all home brand, everything.
Sharing what I believe in.
So what is to come?
What is to come? I'm so grateful that I have male students coming to the studio now. Ooh. Because I think I have a strong business helping women feel themselves. But I think men are just as deserving and have less access to things that would give them that experience. So it's really important for me to just continue to like seep into the male sector, just because I think they're, you know, like the people who you would see doing yoga versus the people who should be doing yoga are like 2 completely different cultures.
Ooh, speak on it, because I feel the same way about my businesses. Go ahead, girl.
Right? Yeah. And so to that I would say, like, the people who you see receiving this kind of work and the people who like really deserve this kind of work, like I would say it's the men. You know, everybody can benefit from it, but like I think it's without a doubt that men don't have enough resources, access.
100%. Or even, again, conversation, communication around it. It's not even an open door. It's not even a thought. Like, it's not even an opportunity. It comes back to that machismo thing, which is a cultural thing. And those are so many. Ooh, the cycles that we repeat. Ooh, the cycles that we repeat. Before talking about that, this is going to segue us into our second game. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, second game. We're going to get into it. This is Tell Me How You Really Feel. So I'm going to go over a few topics, and I know this bitch cannot lie, so this is going to be interesting.
I hate this part. I already hate this part. I already hate this
It's going to be interesting.
Can I cover my face so that if I try to lie, they can't see my initial expression?
No. You have to go right into it. Okay. So you're going to tell us how you really feel. You can get into it. Let's be honest about it. First things that come to mind, okay?
Okay.
2021, tell us how you really feel. Yep.
Stressed.
Like,
you know, 2021 was a great, amazing year forward. I think there's a lot of exhaustion from 2020.
Okay.
You know, yeah. But I did my first feature this year. The studio really thrived this year in this new location. We got it like the end of 2020. So the studio's done amazing. Yeah, we're here right now. You know what I mean? Like,
blessed.
yeah, I think 2021 has been a great direction forward. Just the face comes from like
PTSD.
Yeah.
Got you. Yeah, no, that's fair.
You know.
That's definitely fair. That's definitely fair. Alrighty. Tell us how you really feel. Cannabis.
I love it. I love it. I think all forms of medication are amazing. Balance in all things, whatever's right for you. Yeah, so I definitely love and lean towards like holistic healthcare and wellness and things like that. But you know, sometimes like some things need like pills, you know? So I feel like balance in all things. I love cannabis. To me, it's medicine. Even if it's just a space maker for joy or sharing between you and your friend. Right? I would say the time spent between you and your friend works as medicine. So to me, I'm gonna say cannabis is medicine and I love it. And, you know.
Yeah, girl, you know I'm on the same page with that. All right, next topic, therapy.
Oh, I love it more than cannabis. The only thing I love more than cannabis is therapy. It changed my life. There might be traumas that you are not even aware of are inside of you or maybe are affecting you. And conversation in a safe space is a great place to explore that and find out what is there. And I had a yoga teacher once say, like, our deepest demons live down deep in the basement. And like, you don't just go down there and yank the door open and like see what's what, but like maybe you pad your tool belt with some really helpful tools and maybe you grab somebody who like also has a really good tool belt as well. And then like the two of you down there with like the bats and the shovels, right? Then you can go down there and fight the monsters. And I think if it were like me and you and every tool in our tool belt versus like just me bare ass, I think I would stand like 100 times more of a chance. Right. In fact, I think I might even feel confident about beating up these monsters if I knew I had my girl and we had magic with us. Like, oh, we're about to go tear them up. Right. About to go ham.
Right, facts. Literally. 100%.
You know, it changes the dynamic with which you can open the door. So if it comes to therapy, I'd say like you don't go down into the basement alone. But you do your therapy, you build up your tools. Your therapist, that's the person that like maybe flashes the light when you open the door. You know, you're not alone.
And we're gonna be closing up, so what I love to do is, now that we got a bit of who you are as a person, who we are as a unit, and who in your skin really is, there is people that are watching this that are inspired by what you're doing, whether they're in the same field as you, maybe they're people that you're inspired by, maybe they haven't even gotten started, maybe it's a girl that is 19 years old in a motel starting to strip. So if you can just give one piece of advice that you would give to somebody out of all of the experience of your journey, what would it be?
If I could say one thing, it would be about trust within yourself. It would be to, as early on as possible, have the conversation with yourself. When am I having feelings of mistrust because I'm unsafe? And when am I having feelings of mistrust because I don't have a good relationship with trusting? Right? Because of my trauma, because of whatever, because I don't know how to trust myself. So early on, if you're willing to ask yourself questions about how much you can trust yourself, and then willing to act in ways that show you can trust yourself, you know, like, you're always going to be on the right path. Like, as you said, even if it's a little bit off, that should be enough for you to know that the answer is no. Right. But if you don't trust yourself, then you're going to question that little bit being enough. Right. And it should be enough. The bare minimum of something being off should be enough for you. Because when it's right, it's right.
Amen. Oof. Oof. What a beautiful episode. Thank you so much, Sada, for tapping in.
I love you.
I love you more. For everything, for being part of the platform. Everybody, make sure you guys go check out In Your Skin Studio. All the details are going to be tagged below for you.
Providence, Rhode Island.
Yes, Sada, give all your tags, info. How can they reach you? Where can they find you?
Sada The G.O.A.T on Instagram. In Your Skin Studio on Instagram and Facebook. We have amazing teachers here. We teach hip hop, heels dancing, all styles of pole dancing, yoga. All of my teachers, as well as myself, are willing to do online classes. So if you're far away, you're not too far. And just to say, like, this is a space for you if you want to be here, like 100%.
I love it. Thank you so much again, sis. And thank you guys for tuning in, and we will catch you next time on Conversations with Coco.
Calling to go when I need all the answers. She told me don't worry, I got you, keep dancing. Future is popping, as God is a witness. Start a new business, oh, like vision. I took the people accept me for me. I'm trying to be what I'm destined to be. Excuse my temper, I'm just flowing like trees, like the waves in the ocean. Potion got me pulling, I'm holding the crown, please lay down if you want.
About now, this is your apartment, the additional studio. Let's talk about In Your Skin, your growth. What's it's looking like? Let's get into it.
Okay, so we are in the old In Your Skin studio, which is now my apartment. It's actually always been my apartment. So when I first found this place online and I came to see it, there was no kitchen, there was no bathroom. It was just walls.
Wow.
And my landlord basically told me it wasn't gonna be a nice apartment. And if I wanted it, I had to take it that way. And I said okay, because I wanted the studio so bad. It was one of the few places that I found that had a big open space that I could turn into the studio. So I just accepted it. My landlord actually made the kitchen pretty nice.
Yeah,
and the bathroom
I love it.
You know, it's kind of nice. I think he did that once he realized I was renting it.
Okay.
So that worked out well. But I moved here in 2016 and I opened the studio in 2018. Opened the studio in 2018, so we're working on our 4th year now. So we were here for 2 years and just grinding it out. And little by little, the classes got bigger and bigger and bigger, and I realized that we were kind of dancing on top of each other at this point. And there was no room for more poles or anything. So I just started looking for a new space, and there happened to be one in this building, which is now where the new studio is at. And this space is 750. Downstairs, I think, is 1,400 square feet or something like that.
Wow.
So it's about double the space. It's amazing. And yeah, we just completed a year downstairs.
And you guys have been fucking going like literally off. Social media wise, you have a ton of teachers that you work with. Tay is probably my favorite to watch. I love watching his stuff.
Topless Tay.
Topless Tay.
That man never has his shirt on.
I'm crying. What is that, an ottoman or is that a seat?
That's a seat because it's like a low table. I wanted to do floor seating.
Love that.
I have to think about eating on the ground.
Oh, get into that. Why?
I watched, there's this couple that I follow on Facebook, and they're Muslim. And I do not remember their name, which I just wish I did. I might have to like go look it up.
Okay.
And give it to you after.
We might be able to B-roll this.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed with this couple. There's so much joy, there's so much authenticity and honesty and openness. I've learned so much about myself, about being in a relationship, and also about their culture from watching these videos. So I just love these people. And one of the videos was about why they eat on the floor and how they share their food and stuff. And like historically, I believe it was like you ate on the ground to be like connected to the earth and to be like grounded. And while you were like, you know, feeding yourself from the earth, that you were like also connected to the earth. And I always thought that was really cool.
I love that.
Like, you know, rather than be on a seat connected to nothing, I thought it was cool to be grounded.
And I feel that way about, it's like a big conversation, big Puerto Rican conversation about like walking around the house without socks on, because it's important that you're grounded.
And you're not supposed to be barefoot.
No.
You're not supposed to be barefoot.
Right.
That is quite...
like not a thing. Even like they'll do like, you can like chanclas, like Crocs, like a big thing.
Just don't be barefoot.
Just don't be barefoot. But like it's a big thing, like as far as like, you know, being grounded, and like that's like a major, even with
It's really important for balance. Shoes mess with your balance. You're not using, you know, all your muscles and all your toes.
Right.
Me muzzling my children.
I never I never thought about I never even was like, even had an open mind about the seating on the floor thing. The only culture that I was familiar that that did it was the Chinese culture, I know for a fact. But I was unfamiliar with like the reasoning behind it.
Right? And then they also talked about how they like all eat out of like one dish. They don't have plates, they don't have utensils.
Wow.
Yeah, that part was really cool too. Because you, one, have to be considerate of everyone at the table. And they made the point that they learned about a lot about each other, like what the other person liked and like how much salt or how much hot sauce or what they liked more of. And so like I might not eat the last piece of this because I know that that's their favorite.
Wow.
And just made it made their eating more conscious and more like
intentional.
Yeah, I thought that was it's really cool stuff.
Wow, I'm feeling the vibes. It might be the weed, it might be the vibes, it might be both. We don't know.
All of the above.
See?
Must be all of the above.
Must be. Oh man, I'm into it. Okay, I do want to get back into the Sex Life Sunday conversation because honestly, I get super jealous every Sunday, every time I see it, and I love when you do the chair segment. I think lap dances are so important. I think that's a really I think that's a really exciting and intimate way to get familiar with your partner. So,
I think if you've never given one, it is just an experience that was just life changing. I think women can start having conversations that like men enjoy getting lap dances, or else strip clubs wouldn't exist.
True.
Right? And thriving the way they do.
Right. Because it's not just the visual. It's, and that's the thing. Things are in the club.
It's not the visual because people have Instagram.
Exactly.
It's not the visual.
Right. It's the experience. We'll say it that way, right? And me and Sada actually built a relationship. We met here in Providence when I was in college. I started bartending super young at Wonderland, and she was the bottle girl at the time. And she's always been I feel like, low-key angel, my big sis, like guiding me through. It's like a little lost puppy. It was the first club I've ever worked at, first one. And you know what? It was the best. I'm not gonna lie.
We had the best time. We spent many nights eating breakfast at 4 a.m. and talking.
Literally, getting familiar. Even in the club, like certain things, like, Sada honestly taught me strip club etiquette, for a fact, in so many ways, bro. In so many ways. I remember one day, I was trying to get change from the bank?
Put me on.
You remember the day I was trying to get change from the bank? You don't remember? I was behind the bar. It was a busy fucking night, and Andres, he
I remember.
stepped out from behind the bar, and I had two of my regular customers, and I was new. Two of my regular customers ready for singles right away. And the way I used to work at the club, because I was so young, I wasn't interested in making like really intimate relationships at all with any of my customers. So I would make really close friends with the dancers who had intimate relationships with their regulars. They would fuck with me, bring their customers to my bar. Once people came to my bar, they knew the vibes. My conversation was on point. Like that was it. Like I was always the young one, but I was always the one that like was like ready to go.
Super
like,
bubbly too.
with the smoke, right?
Great energy,
Thanks,
always.
Thanks, girl. So I would work it that way, like, and they always respected me because I was bringing a certain mentality to the table. Like I always knew for myself that I wanted to use the club as a stepping stone. You know what I'm saying? Like it was a starting point for me. You get me? Like to propel me. So there, boom, and my two regulars and my girl was on stage. Like my girl, like she, oh my god, she would freaking literally bring me. I would have one regular night just off of her. Like she would always look me out, like, so whatever. We're there, she's on stage and they're asking for money and like her sets how long?
10 minutes.
Yeah, so I'm like, don't want to have them wait, you know what I'm saying? Because once a big
Getting
spender.
singles in 10 minutes is complicated.
And once a big spender starts, that's gonna start a money war, like, so.
Oh,
you know what I
every
mean?
time. It's never about the girls.
Ego, but. So I'm there and I'm waiting. I'm like, fuck. And I'm like, I don't know if I should wait. And I had the hundreds in my hand and I'm like, and I know that I was not supposed to touch the bank. I knew it. But I was just like in that moment and I'm young and I'm like, yo, I need to get this bread out.
and I touched the bank. And, and Michael came around the bar so quick, he ripped me. And I was just like a sad puppy, like a little 19-year-old sad puppy, like, and Sada was like, you know you shouldn't touch the bank. And she just walked away. That was it. That was it. And I was just like, you know what, I did. And I went right back to the bar and I was like, fuck it. I worked the rest of the night. I let my night rock out. Doom. I walked up to Michael. I apologized, like paid my respect. He was like, just don't let that shit happen again. And Sada was like, that's it. Like she was like, some shit you have to learn the hard way. I remember. You were like, some shit you have to learn the hard way. But, you know, and you led me through a lot of those experiences. Even when, you know, I was there for those two fights, when that guy got fucking stomped out outside. That was wild. Things like that. So I always have a special relationship with you. You've always been like a guiding light.
You are smart and kind, and some people don't care to learn, but you've always cared to learn.
Word.
And so that industry is tough, as you know.
Right.
And I just always wanted you to be okay.
Word.
Which you were. You were.
Word.
Oh, I know Michael yelling, like the first time Michael yelled at me, ate me up. And I came back to him and I was like, Michael. And he was like, Sada, no shade, sorry. He was like, Sada, you're still my favorite. I just have to suspend you right now because you like did whatever you did. And I was like, fine, okay, as long as like you're not mad at me.
Right,
yeah, him
right.
being mad was like tough. So I remember when I saw how you felt, I was like, girl, you're fine.
Right.
You know, just you lesson learned, that's it.
Right. Yeah, his tone was stern. Like,
But he was mad at you, that hurt your feelings.
word. I was like, fuck. Because you know what? One thing I will say, Michael always looked the fuck out. Always. Always made sure we were good.
One of the best bosses.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
But when he yelled at you, it was like,
even when I left, I remember telling him,
I disappointed you.
Right. I remember telling him that I left, and he was like, I was going to leave, and he was proud of me. He wished me well. He was like, I'm proud of you. He was like, and I've never left the club when somebody just like off the bat is like, you know, yeah, that's what you want. Like normally they're like, no, you can still work part-time. And then they're like, okay, like now we know, like whatever.
Fine.
Yeah. But that's how we built our relationship. Why did we get into one? Oh, lap dances. Lap dances.
Yeah, so with Sex Life Sunday, which we started in September, when February came around, I was like, we have to do a lap dance class. But like, you see a lot of lap dance classes online, and the girl's like doing a cartwheel on the guy. She's like 5 feet away from him. Like, it's a lot of stuff that is great on camera and looks really impressive, but it's not real, it's not relatable. I was a dancer for 5 years, so I could tell you right now, I ain't never cartwheeled on no man doing a lap dance, okay? Like, it's not.
I can tell you right now. Oh, I'm crying. I can just see it. I can just see it. I'm dead.
And so I felt, you know, and Spiky, she knows that part of lap dancing as well. And so we said, let's do a lap dance class, but like, we're going to teach them a lap dance the way we would do a lap dance, not the way the camera wants to see it. And I think we had like 14 couples the first time.
Wow, that's dope.
And
That's a big class.
oh my goodness, it was so amazing to see like,
The vibes.
yo, the vibe grow as the song goes on. And you know, the first time I'm like, all right, y'all, so you're gonna slide your butt up his chest into his face. And like the first time it's cool, but like by the sixth time it's like booty in your face. And it's like, everyone's like grabbing booty, the energy changes. And it's grown, it's like 20, I think the last time we had 20 something couples. So it grows every year.
Wow.
And it's amazing to see people share this time with their couple and be open to have this experience, especially for the women. Like, men enjoy lap dances, that's a fact, and it's fun. It's fun as a woman too.
To give them.
It's fun when you are with your person and they're rubbing all on you because you are like all they can see. It when there is a room of 20 other something women and your man cannot take your eyes off of you, it's the best feeling in the world. And I promise he ain't taking his eyes off of you because you're doing a lot right now. You're doing everything you need to do. It's amazing. It's the most. So like, I love sharing that. I love sharing that. Men enjoy getting lap dances, and I think women can have a lot of fun giving them. And I think that they should be giving them to their partners. You know, if that's your partner, drop it like it's hot, honey.
Right. Period.
There's so much you could be sharing with your partner. If that is the one person you want to be with, you guys should be sharing everything.
Back to
everything.
communication.
Right. If you guys decided, because you talking about sleeping with one person for the next 60 years, y'all got to get creative.
Right.
Creative, because
Right. Right, exactly. 100%. Like if that, again, monogamy being, you know, a decision that you make 100%.
a decision
and
that two people make together.
Correct, with your partner. And that's something like personally right now in my phase, 100% I'm into, you feel me? But I'm also into not being held to a structure. So like if there is a point in time where like
one day you guys decide
a threesome presents itself, word with the smoke, let's get it. Or if one day we just, you know, whatever.
10 years down the road, new feelings have arisen that were never there before. Safe space to talk about them.
Open communication,
Explore
especially
them.
when you learn somebody at a different level, right?
You're gonna be with somebody forever. I mean, are you the same person you were 10 years ago?
Mm-mm.
I mean, just if you want to be with somebody forever, you're gonna be with many versions of them.
But let's talk about like life shit. We got the sex going.
Always drizzle that in there.
Just a drizzle. But on the ride down here, I struggle with communication. Right. Personally, because they're, you know, just I had firsthand personal experiences that I'm not necessarily like, they're just not normal, right? They're not normal. So, you know, I'm healing.
Elaborate.
Oof, I don't want to.
You have to. She thought she was gonna slide that in, not normal. That's an interesting statement. Let me fix my therapist glasses. I want to be clear. I'm not necessarily asking you to tell me specifically your story. I'm asking you what you mean by not normal, by using that phrase.
Yeah, and the only way I could do it was tell you the story.
Do you believe that your story is one of a kind?
No. I mean, yeah, definitely. My personal story is one of a kind, but I definitely know that other people experience similar, like what I went through. So I don't think that like I'm the only one that is going through or went through or whatever. But it's just
so
like,
you and all these people who share similar experiences to you are abnormal?
no, not that we're. Let me cut this. Not that we're abnormal. It's just that to recognize. Okay, now as an adult. When I was a child, I thought that was normal. I thought that every other kid was going through what I was going through.
Many kids are, but many kids are, and I think that's my point.
Okay.
Many kids are.
Personally, in my space, I could definitely feel, I couldn't resonate with nobody where I was. So like, I knew I was different. You get me? So like, it was like, in that area, like as a kid, like I just thought it was like, when I was a child, as a kid, I thought like, okay, this is just normal life or whatever. Like I thought everybody was going through everybody, you know what I'm saying? And then as I got older, like, you know, when you have like whatever, as I got older, I just started to recognize that like, oh, it's actually not, that's not like a normal, not normal, I don't know how to say it, but like a healthy, there you go. It's not necessarily a healthy thing. It's not necessarily a cycle that I should have been exposed to. Right? So now that I have recognition in that, I realize that a lot of the stuff that I do out of like a trauma response, like lacking in communication, is really connected to that because I didn't really have clarity in my childhood experiences. I didn't really know if like my feelings were valid nor real. So when that came down to it, it was just like recognizing, okay, now that I know all of that it is, because I love my inner child, talk to her all the time. But now that I know that it is, and that, you know, I was in extreme circumstances, I was a part of like, you know, the troubled kids that they call statistically, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, whatever it may be. But I was able to not succumb to the 2% that succumb to their environment. Okay, so like I am a part of that.
Is it only 2%?
No, the only 2% don't.
Oh, okay.
Sorry,
okay.
I said that wrong, I'm high.
I was like, who made that number? Oh.
No, only 2% don't succumb to their environment. So I'm a part of that.
That I believe, yeah.
So with that being said, it's just, my childhood is still going on. So I don't necessarily want to go too deep because I don't want to, it's not my demons to, my experiences are valid, but there are certain areas of it that I don't want it to be too public. You feel me?
Yeah, 100%.
Right, that's it.
No, 100%. I think you can communicate how you felt.
Right, okay, yeah.
Without saying what made you feel that way, because it really doesn't matter what made you feel that way if you felt it.
Right.
It could have been a little thing, it could have been a big thing, it could have been a crazy thing, it could have been an abnormal thing, But I think just expressing how you felt, how you were maybe made to feel.
Word. That's valid. Okay. But yeah, so trauma's in that with like, when it comes to communication, so I withhold. Like I don't fully communicate and like, you feel like you're suffocating when you're going through a lot of trauma and you don't vocalize what you're going through. And also in those moments, you are mentally weak, right? When you're going through extreme traumas or stresses and things like that. Mm-hmm. So you're consulting with your mentally weak mind, which only leads to overthinking and, kind of that's how you start to deepen into it. So now with me practicing what I practice, with my self-care, personal development, anything that I could do.
Anything at all.
I recognize that communication is extremely important, but I still have traumas that
come up.
So I have fear in it. When I expect from my relationships, I expect communication back. So it's like me working on that. So like we should get into that trauma, like in how like trauma can affect communication. Trauma can, I guess, like,
Oh, yeah, big time.
Right?
And you can't mute some emotions. I think that's like super important, like to start with that very real, very honest, very, very true statement that you can't mute some emotions. You mute them all or you feel them all, but you definitely don't get to pick and choose. So this idea that you don't have to feel that fear, you don't have to feel that guilt, you don't have to feel that shame, which are all emotions that you probably don't have to feel.
But they're still valid.
That's a different conversation, but,
right.
When you're talking about men not feeling, could be love, could be vulnerability, right? If we're talking about what men can't feel. So yeah, like if you can't be vulnerable, if you don't allow yourself to be vulnerable, I think the likelihood that you could take that armor off whenever you wanted would be like slim to none.
Right.
So it's not like, I'm not going to be vulnerable. I don't know how to explain it, but did I have the conversation with you about needing help?
I'm not sure. Let's get into it. Conversations with Coco.
You can't feel something about yourself without feeling it about other people. That's how you feel, you have made an agreement with that thought or that feeling. We are the only species, creatures on this planet that have the ability, the power of the word. And I think, if nothing else, that just deserves the clarity and the space. That statement of itself. We are the only creatures existing, anything on this earth that can use words.
Wow.
That's exceptional, literally, that's what makes us, monkeys have these, right? So I would say the word is what makes us exceptional. The ability to communicate is literally like what makes humans exceptional.
Wow. Thoughts.
Whales have more emotions than us, right? So it's not our ability to feel emotions that makes us exceptional.
Octopi
It's
are
the word.
smarter than us.
It's the word. So definitely, I feel like a lot of power in your words and what you say, and being intentional with your words. So yeah, if you have a feeling about yourself, then you have made the agreement that that is true. And I think people love to think that they can pick and choose this agreement or when this agreement is true, and you can't, right? So a perfect example is like needing help. Like I have reservations about asking for help. I have feelings about myself when I need help.
Okay, I get you.
But I function under the belief that I love to help people, that I help openly, that I think everybody deserves help, and that I think you should ask for it openly and let people help you, right? But like,
For you yourself.
but if I believe that asking for help says something about me, I believe that asking for help says something, and it's not something positive, right? I throw in the about me part and think I'm only holding that agreement to myself. At the end of the day, I made the agreement in my mind that asking for help says something, and that something is not something positive. You can't pick and choose your emotions. And you would be better off understanding that, accepting that, and either saying, A, I'm not the helpful person that I think I am, or B, something has to change inside of me so that I can actually be in action who I want to be in intention.
Amen.
So that's my little conversation about emotions and feeling them or not feeling them.
Thank you
We don't pick and choose.
for your TED Talk. Oh. Audience in the background.